There comes a moment in life when loving someone becomes heavier than losing them, a moment when holding on begins to drain the strength you once used to rise every morning. Emotional attachment does not fade simply because we decide to walk away. The mind requests distance, yet the heart remembers every detail. Stoic philosophy never asks you to suppress your emotions. It invites you to understand them, to stand beside them without collapsing beneath their weight. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. When you fix your thoughts on a person who is no longer aligned with your path, the colors of your life begin to darken. This script is not about becoming cold or numb. It is about reclaiming your inner space, stepping back from emotional dependency, and remembering that your peace is the foundation from which every meaningful decision grows. Imagine standing on a shoreline at sunset. The waves approach, each one carrying a memory, a hope, a fear. You don't fight the water. You don't beg the tide to stop. You simply observe it, understanding that some waves reach your feet and others retreat. Emotional detachment works the same way. You neither deny the feelings nor surrender your identity to them. You learn to hold yourself steady as reality shifts. Today, we explore how to detach from someone without losing your compassion, your humanity, or your truth. The Stoics knew that freedom begins when control returns to the self. This is your journey back to clarity. One breath, one understanding, one choice at a time. Detachment begins the moment you recognize that some stories cannot continue. The Stoics taught that suffering intensifies when we try to command what lies beyond our influence. Epictetus reminded his students that freedom starts by distinguishing what belongs to our power from what never did. When a person's actions, priorities, or emotions drift away from your expectations, your attempts to force closeness become a silent form of self-damage. Acceptance does not mean approval. It means seeing reality clearly without filtering it through longing or fear. It means acknowledging that a connection which once felt unbreakable may now be unsustainable. Most people struggle not because the truth is painful, but because illusions feel comforting. You replay old conversations, hoping to find hidden promises. You revisit memories because they feel safer than standing in the present. Stoicism asks you to rise above this internal fog and recognize that clarity is the highest form of compassion you can give yourself. Imagine holding sand in your hands. The tighter you grip it, the faster it slips away. People follow the same principle. When you cling to someone out of fear, they drift farther. When you stop fighting to hold them, you regain the strength you were losing trying to keep the connection alive. Emotional detachment is an act of acceptance, not avoidance. Let the truth stand unedited. Their choices are theirs. Their behavior is theirs. Their willingness to grow or stay stagnant is theirs. Your peace, however, belongs only to you. The moment you stop bargaining with reality, you create space for healing. You begin to detach not out of anger but out of wisdom, and wisdom, unlike emotion, does not break. Attachment becomes dangerous when your identity intertwines with another person's presence. You begin to see yourself through their reactions, their approval, their affection. When they withdraw, you feel as though life itself is collapsing. This is why Stoicism emphasizes the importance of grounding your sense of self in principles, not people. People change, principles endure. Seneca wrote that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. The fear of living without someone often hurts more than the actual experience. You imagine the absence as a void, forgetting that your identity existed long before this attachment formed. Emotional detachment requires rediscovering who you are without borrowed validation. Think back to the version of yourself before you met them, the passions that lit your mind, the goals that shaped your days. The inner world that belonged solely to you, none of that disappears because someone walks away. It becomes dormant, waiting for you to return to it. Redefining your identity means reconnecting with the parts of you that were overshadowed by the emotional bond. It may be the dreams you delayed, the habits you abandoned, the confidence you slowly gave up because you placed someone else at the center of your emotional universe. This process is not cold, it is liberating. It is the moment you remember that your meaning is not dependent on another person's presence. You begin to detach naturally when you recognize that you are still whole even after loss. You do not break, you shift, you adapt, you rise. The stronger your identity becomes, the less you depend on others to carry the weight of your emotional stability. Detachment is not distance, it is strength returning to its rightful place within you. Detachment is not abandoning your heart. It is choosing not to let another person govern it. Emotional boundaries are a Stoic form of self-respect. They serve as invisible lines that protect your peace while allowing you to remain kind, centered, and clear. When someone once mattered deeply, your emotions tend to rush toward them automatically. Your mind builds stories, your heart searches for answers, and your memory brings forward moments that make you question whether stepping back is necessary. But boundaries are the way you remind yourself that healing requires structure, not impulsive emotional reactions. A Stoic boundary is calm, deliberate, and firm. It may mean limiting conversations that trigger old attachments. It may involve stepping away from environments that pull you back into emotional loops. It may require ending habits that keep someone's presence alive long after the relationship has ended. This is not punishment. This is preservation. Imagine a tree struck by a violent storm. Though the branches sway, the roots remain anchored. Boundaries function as those roots. They hold you steady while emotions pass through. You do not deny the storm. You simply assert your right to remain grounded within it. Marcus Aurelius taught that the mind becomes unstoppable when it learns to decline unnecessary distractions. A person who keeps you in emotional turmoil, even unintentionally, becomes a distraction from your own path. Establishing boundaries is your way of saying, my life matters, my growth matters, my peace matters. You detach with compassion by wishing them well without allowing their presence to dominate your internal world. You respect their humanity while protecting your stability. The beauty of Stoic detachment is that it allows you to remain warm without burning yourself for anyone. Every emotional bond that breaks leaves a mark. The Stoics never claimed that detachment eliminates pain. They believed pain becomes meaningful when transformed. Emotional detachment is easier when your suffering evolves into wisdom, strength, and self-understanding. Think of the moments that now ache within you, the conversations that replay, the memories that surface when the night grows silent. Instead of resisting them, use them as a teacher. Ask what this experience is showing you about your needs, your boundaries, your resilience. Stoicism teaches that challenges refine character. If the attachment tested your heart, let the transformation sharpen your spirit. There is a quiet power in realizing that what once wounded you is now shaping you. You become more aware of your emotional patterns, less vulnerable to the pull of dependency, and more receptive to healthier forms of connection. You begin to see that the pain was not a punishment, it was preparation. Purpose emerges when you refuse to let the attachment reduce you. It grows when you channel the emotional energy into your goals, your discipline, your growth. Seneca believed that adversity introduces us to our true strength. This is that moment for you, the moment where loss evolves into clarity, and clarity becomes fuel for a new chapter. Let the separation inspire you to rebuild. Let the silence teach you to listen to your inner voice. Let the distance encourage you to become someone even you can rely on. Pain becomes purpose when you allow it to push you forward rather than pull you backward. Detachment is not the end of a story. It is the beginning of a new one. When you release emotional dependence, you return to a life you had forgotten how to experience fully. You rediscover freedom. You rediscover balance. You rediscover yourself. The Stoics believed that every ending carries seeds of renewal. When someone leaves your life or your heart decides to step away, you receive an opportunity to rebuild without the chains of old expectations. You begin to see the world differently, less through the lens of longing and more through the lens of possibility. Rising into your new life means welcoming the quiet, the space, the solitude that follows emotional detachment. These moments are not empty, they are fertile. They allow you to grow in ways that attachment once restricted. You become more present, more intentional, more aligned with what truly nourishes your future. Picture yourself standing at dawn, the horizon stretching outward. The sky is no longer clouded by emotional noise. It is open, vast, waiting. Detachment is the sunrise after a long night. You are not erasing the past. You are stepping into a clearer present. This rise is not dramatic. It is steady. It is thoughtful. It is filled with the strength you cultivated through acceptance, boundaries, and self-redefinition. You are no longer tied to someone else's emotional weather. You are guided by your own internal compass. When you rise into your new life, you carry the lessons but leave the weight behind. You remember the connection without clinging to it. You honor the experience while moving beyond it. This is Stoic detachment at its highest form, a heart that feels deeply, a mind that sees clearly, a spirit that refuses to collapse. Your life continues, and now it continues with you at the center.